Hello and welcome to Psych Boost. In this video we'll be looking at the biological approach to treating OCD. So this will mainly be a discussion of drug therapy for OCD, such as the use of SSRIs and alternatives to SSRIs, such as Tricyclics, and I'll also mention psychosurgery. Some of the key terms we'll be using in this video are anxiolytics, serotonin, re-uptake inhibitors, Tricyclics, and a few more key terms. I'll mention some evaluative studies and some other ways we can build our evaluation of the biological approach to treating OCD. The biological approach to treating OCD is primarily a drug therapy treatment. Drug therapy means chemicals are taken that influence the biological functioning of some aspect of the body. That's what a drug therapy is. In mental health drug therapies, the biological functioning that's targeted is generally the neurotransmitter systems in the brain. Maybe surprisingly, the drugs that are used for OCD are antidepressants. OCD is an anxiety disorder, so antidepressants that inhibit feelings of anxiety, so anxiolytics, are going to be really useful. These drugs seem to be effective on both the obsessions and the compulsions, but they do need to be taken for quite a few months, so 3 to 4 months, before they become really effective in treating those symptoms. As serotonin has been identified as the main neurotransmitter that seems to be implicated in OCD, the drug treatments that are used target the serotonin system. In particular, they target the serotonin re-uptake system. So the main class of drugs that are used are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, also known as SSRIs. So the primary example of an SSRI is fluoxetine. This is also known by the brand name of Prozac. So what do SSRIs do? Well, this is the synapse. You can see there's a gap between the presynaptic cell and the postsynaptic cell. This is called the synaptic cleft. Now it's thought with people with OCD, the reabsorption of serotonin back into the presynaptic cell is just too fast in people with OCD. Serotonin needs to be in the synaptic cleft to be effective. So if we take an SSRI, which you can see here represented by the little Pac-Man guy, it will block the reabsorption of serotonin back into the presynaptic cell, keeping it in the synaptic cleft for longer. It remains active, so it continues influencing the postsynaptic neuron. There are alternatives to SSRIs. Sometimes SSRIs just aren't effective on certain cases. If this happens, non-selective reuptake drugs are used. For example, Tricyclics, such as clomipirene, or SNRIs. And these influence the noradrenaline neurotransmitter. Now these are often a second choice due to the fact they tend to have more intense side effects. Now for particular severe cases or cases that don't respond to drugs, there is a surgical option. So this is psychosurgery. This surgery will alter the communication between the orbitofrontal cortex and other areas of the brain, stopping the loop of continuous check-in behaviour. There are also new experimental techniques, and these include deep brain stimulation. This is where you'd place electrodes in the brain to interfere with the functioning of certain brain regions. If this image of the synapse is confusing to you, or you'd like to know more, please look at the synaptic transmission video in the BioPsych series. So on to some evaluations. There's a meta-analysis by Grist, which is a review of a large number of placebo-controlled trials, and these trials were the effects of 4 drugs on OCD. A large number of people were included across these trials, so 1,520, and all 4 of these drugs were shown to be significantly more effective than placebo, so they all seem to work. But clopramine seemed to be the most effective. One criticism we might have though about research into drugs is a real danger of publication bias. This is where certain studies that are done get published and some get kept in the file drawer. And it's usually the positive results that are more likely to be published than the negative. It's argued these positive results are published because it works in the interests of the drug companies. Drugs sell for a lot of money, and if you can show your drug works, then you're more likely to show a profit. And it's the drug companies who run the trials on their own drugs. We also have to consider that while these drug therapies, they can address the symptoms of OCD, they have negatives such as side effects. Common ones are insomnia and nausea. But maybe more importantly, when the patient stops taking these drugs, then relapse, such as the symptoms returning, happens quite frequently. so in 45% of cases according to Simpson. And this is just within the first 12 weeks. When you compare this to OCD, only 12% of cases seem to relapse in that first 12 weeks. This suggests that drugs don't really treat the cause of OCD, but perhaps CBT might do. I mentioned this on the previous slide, but we can include it as an evaluation. Cognitive neuroscience, now applied to OCD, is producing new and exciting biological treatments, which involve us actually directly stimulating parts of the brain. And this direct electrical stimulation is reducing the presence of obsessions. Now, even though this surgery is invasive, it's thought it might help many people who are resistant to drugs or potentially take the place of drugs in severe cases. Another evaluation is the cost of these biological drugs. It's actually quite cheap compared to, say, CBT. CBT needs a trained therapist and a large number of appointments. The drugs can be given in a box and the patient takes it in their own time. Now, as health services like the NHS are under a lot of financial constraints, it might be that drug therapy is the preferred treatment. I really hope you found this video useful in studying psychology. 3 things help this channel grow a lot: likes, comments and subscriptions. Thank you so much if you've done any of those things for this video.